He's an 8-time Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award winner. And he snapped a ball through his legs.
Wait, why does your name get to go first?
Shut up.
This is Scone T.
Because they made us.
All right, what's good, people? Welcome in.
Welcome in.
Go to T. Tea and scone. No.
Tea Cobb.
It's still way better. Sounds scone and tea sounds way better.
Yeah, you save the best for last. That's a classic American idiom.
Or you just bring up the rear. You sniff my butt is what you do. That's what you do.
Well, if we were dogs, it's just like saying hello, so it's not that big of a deal.
But then you're also, it's the whole thing like if you're a follower, the view never changes sort of thing. You're always looking at another dog's butt.
Well, what if I just
that?
turn around? Then the view's just as different as being in the front.
Because dogs don't do that. They just keep going in their straight line. All right, welcome in. Glad you're with us here on Scone and T. 2 weeks.
Colloquialism? Is that what I'm looking for?
In 2 weeks, we will be in Nashville for SEC Football Media Days. Pretty jacked about it. You're starting to get all the talking season stuff out there.
Hell yeah, we're
preseason All-America teams, a lot of preseason predictions and whatnot. We'll get into some of that today. Also, MLB Draft is this weekend. Been following any of that?
MLB Draft? No. What's going on? People get drafted?
Well, it starts on Sunday. It hasn't started yet. Are you not in any way interested in, oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, man, are those the what are they, like the pork egg roll things?
No, they're those are the boudin egg rolls.
Oh my
I believe.
God, that looks so
No.
good.
I'm excited for the draft. I'm not like pre-excited for the draft. I'm excited to see the draft news. Sure. You know, I want to know where Skeens and Cruz go, and I want to see where everybody goes from this team that you fell in love with.
Yeah.
And you want to see. I mean, we did the whole show. We were talking about maybe who could go, who could stay, and so we'll get some answers in. But I'm not like. But I don't even get excited for the NFL draft. So you got to understand, I'm very draft agnostic. It's probably something that I need to tighten up on. Almost more than anything else in my professional career.
Well, I think it's more the thing that's I'm with you in the sense that, like, you want all the guys to do well and get drafted high and go make money.
Yeah.
But, like, it's the MLB draft is more interesting just because of the way it's structured and the fact that guys who get drafted have a choice to make. Do they sign or do they come back?
Yeah.
Unlike in the NFL where if you're picked, you go where you're picked. And so, to a large degree, what happens over this weekend is going to really impact what next year's team looks like and what holes Jay has to fill in the portal. And then also of the young players, of the signees, or the commitments, how many show up on campus and how many go sign pro contracts and never show up on campus. Like, you know,
yeah,
I mean,
and
there's
I hate that. I hate like getting excited about a player and then losing to the MLB. So I find it better to just wait till after the draft. And so you can't be upset about losing if you never knew the person to begin with.
I'm sorry?
You can't be upset about a big-time recruit choosing the MLB over you if you never knew shit about the big-time recruit to begin with.
Well, I mean, a lot of times you know about the big-time recruit, but you also have an understanding that they're likely never going to show up. But the interesting thing is always you never...
I don't know a single thing about a single recruit. How about that?
Okay.
Okay?
I don't doubt that at
Just
all.
me.
But that's okay. That's okay. But then there's situations like Dylan Cruz that happen, and situations like Alex Bregman. Now, those are two high-profile, out-of-the-box situations, but they're also arguably the two best position players that ever come through this program, and they happen because of weird situations that happen around the draft where they had a number, a demand, they stuck to it, and they didn't sign and came to school. So, like, a lot of people have been asking, hey, portal's been really quiet, you know, over the past week or so. Why?
Where's Chase Burns?
Well, if you're Chase Burns, doesn't it make sense? Now, like, he could decide today what he wants to do. But any of those prospects, it makes sense on both sides to wait till the draft, because if you're Chase Burns, you wait till the draft, you know, okay, well, what is a roster more likely to look like next year based on who's going to sign, who's going to be back. And then similarly, if you're a coach, you also know what you need way more after the draft, right? I mean, because you know what prospects are going to show up, which ones aren't, and then which guys from your team are likely to sign based on where they're picked. You'll have a much better sense of that after the draft.
Yeah.
So that's why it's relevant. I mean, it's really relevant.
I'm not arguing irrelevance. Yeah. I'm arguing I don't want to put effort into learning what could be. I want to see what is and then react to it. It's a little lazy man's content.
No, I actually, that's probably a good thing to do. But like Musso and I were talking about today in AFR, there's a legit chance, like LSU could lose 20 players off of this team. 20. There could be as many as 20 roster spots. More than half of your roster.
That's what happens when you win a natty.
Well, it's not really that. It's just it's circumstance of having some of those like fifth-year seniors who are out of eligibility, and then a really large junior class that some are going to go pro, and some just may not have a role on this team next year and could get sort of like processed out of the program.
Yeah,
so
I mean, that distribution of guys does speak to an upperclassman-laden team that was capable of winning national championships.
Yes. Yeah. How about this? You know what? I'll jump right into an Ask Scone T.
Nebraska?
No.
Oh.
Jim Selmer said, is Jayden Daniels a Heisman candidate? Please talk about that.
He's not.
Why did you type
Heisman
fucking big letters in the chat?
Because I lost by 1% to you, I guess, in the 225 award. Somebody said gave percentages, and I thought maybe it was still open the voting, so I was going to try to push people to vote.
Neither of us won.
Fuck, who won?
It's impossible to win that
was
shit.
Murphy, Sam, and Jody
I
again?
won it one time, and it was a fucking miracle because it's all women that read and vote for that shit. Like it is.
Hey.
You and I will never. I mean, I won
Ladies
it once.
love us.
I
Ladies
won it
love
once,
whiskey and
and
wine.
I was stunned that I won it. It was in the COVID year in 2020. I won Best of 225. I'm a finalist for that. For like every year for as long as I've been in radio. I'm a finalist for it. I'm always like second or third. Because Murphy, Sam, and Jody win it every year. Because it's all chicks that read that magazine and go vote for all that shit.
My wife fucking likes Murphy, Sam, and Jody more than
They're
me.
great. I love them, by the way.
So bad.
I love Bob Murphy.
I don't.
Jody.
Fuck Murphy, Sam, and Jody. I'm ready to throw down Anchorman style anytime with Murphy, Sam, and Jody.
To be very clear, I'm not talking about their show. I don't know that I've ever actually listened to their show.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But
I mean, if
them
you've
as
ever
people,
wondered,
I know them all, and I like them very, very much.
If you've ever wondered what foods are safe for Thanksgiving for your dog to eat and to not eat, I mean, they got your fucking answer, okay? If you need a relatable story about going in the attic to restart the fucking water heater, they got your answer, okay? And it's going to come with just a wonderfully wholesome, funny, yet unlike me, non-offensive, humorous bent. And I hate them for it because they're so fucking perfect at playing so relatable and so good as they build this morning radio empire out of Baton Rouge. All of my vitriol comes from respect and jealousy, to be painfully clear.
Oh, I thought you were totally taking a shot.
Congratulations.
I thought you were taking a shot.
No.
Because they
No. That is a style of show, and they do it perfectly. It's like I'm listening to The Highway this week, and we're on a fishing charter trip up at Toledo Bend, which is super fun. I've never gone. Shout out Living the Dream. Shout out my guy Captain T.
Oh man,
Robert Lewis. But
I so thought you were taking a shot.
We're listening to XM, The Highway, and what that DJ's doing, just that classic same shit. How many trips have you made to the grocery store? Well, here's a couple tips to help you save one more. You know, it's like, but there's value, bro. People in between great songs. I used to like that. It's good. It's really good listening. Okay. So, congrats for every Sam and Jody. Fuck you, but congratulations. It is very impressive, the empire. You have built a true empire.
Oh, man.
I mean, they're out of Baton Rouge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. They're throughout the country.
Yeah.
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 Good job. I'm jealous.
I thought you were taking a shot. Like when like you're taking a shot at him for doing a show where they talk about the water heater.
No. It's different. But no. But the thing is, there's value there. Like, it's just a different style of show, right? It's like it's like somebody who does. It's like you doing like a solo show, a la like a cow herd or somebody, or like a paid or something. Like solo shows are kind of come from the same veins. We're kind of your raucous,
You're a morning zoo.
Little risque, little shock jock morning guy.
You're a morning zoo.
Yeah, I don't know what morning zoo is, but yes, that sounds correct.
So morning zoo. So in radio parlance, a morning zoo is kind of the wacky morning show with a lot of characters and personalities that take the twists and turns, and you never really know where they're going to go, and it's kind of what it sounds like.
I would lean even more into that if I had my way, ideally.
That's why I always tell you, like, I told you and Jake that from day one. Like, I have no desire to ever.
No, I didn't mean that. There was no insinuation that you're, like, stepping on content or anything.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I just mean that, like, I would get more. Yeah, whatever. The point is, yes, these are all different styles of show.
Murphy, Sam, Jody, T-Bob, and Mario has a nice rating.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Murphy, Sam, Jody, and T-Bob, bring me in, guys. Bring me in. I can rein it in. I can put blinders on and not make sex jokes. I promise.
Do I need to start looking for a new morning host?
If Murphy, Sam, and Jody call, yes. But otherwise, no. Brendan Hubbs, as a kid, my mom always listened to Delilah. I mean, who the fuck doesn't love Delilah around Christmas time? Are you kidding me?
Do you know Delilah's family story?
She's like 4 or 5 divorces, huh?
She's adopted like 18 kids.
Oh, what?
Look up Delilah. Look up Delilah.
Delilah. She has a lot of emotion to give.
She lives like in Idaho or something. She lives on a farm in Idaho and has like 18 kids she adopted. It's wild. There she is. Look her up. Go to her IMDb. Or not her, I mean her wiki. Go to her wiki.
Yeah, let me find her wiki.
It's right over there. All right, Delilah. You know, hi. Are you loving somebody tonight?
There we go. And then, but you never forget. Delilah.
63 years old.
Genius little jingle.
Oregon. North Bend, Oregon.
Spectacular about it.
Look at her family. Scroll down to family. Personal life. You miss a personal life. Read that. Boom.
As a mother of 15 children, 11 of whom were adopted.
11 adopted kids. How about that?
Damn, she had some tragedy in her life, Paul.
Yep, there's a lot of love, a lot of pain.
She married 4 times.
How about that?
She married to a longtime friend, Paul Warner, though. Looks like Warner made it.
I think I have something I can play for you.
Yeah. Look, I just want to...
Are you loving somebody tonight?
You know, I just want to devote this song to my wife. We just had our first kid. And, Delilah, every Christmas, we just can't wait to listen to you.
You have to do it like this. Hi, Delilah. You know,
are you?
I've been dating my best friend for
about, you wanted to date your best friend.
About 3 months. We've been friends for a long time, since we were kids. And recently realized, I think we were just made for each other. We went out on a date, and sparks flew, and Delilah, just really appreciate if you could play something. If you could play something that goes out to what's her name? What's her name? Well, her name is Cindy. If you could play something for Cindy, I'd really appreciate it. You know what, Jack? We can do that for you, Cindy. This one goes out to you.
Dude,
for all those times you stood by me. Here comes Celine. 9 times out of 10, it's Celine. Here it comes. You got it.
Dude, I am not going to lie. I did not expect that to go as well as it did. That was fucking spot on from a delivery and a content standpoint. That was really well done.
You think I'm some fucking schmo?
No,
who's doesn't know how to entertain anybody? I've never listened to Delilah.
But I was trying to improv it in my head, and I couldn't get there. So that's why I'm impressed.
I've probably heard more Delilah than you. You forget I used to work at Clear Channel in Baton Rouge, where 96.1 The River is, and there's a lot of nights when I was babysitting the stations as an EAS tech overnights, and Delilah would just be on in the control rooms, and you just would hear a lot of fucking Delilah.
Jim Selmer says, "We love you guys, but I'm here for LSU." And then 2 comments later, Tom Jones, Delilah, the best.
Got him. Okay, go back to the Jayden Daniels Heisman talk.
I think he's not a Heisman candidate, right? I don't think you would put him. Okay, real quick before you look it up, where would you guess he falls in odds?
I did this last week.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna say he's top 10 in odds, not top 5.
He's top 5.
Oh, he is top 5. Oh, well. Well, then you are a legitimate Heisman candidate.
Absolutely,
yes.
He is. If I remember correctly, obviously Caleb Williams is number 1.
Drake May's got to be in there somewhere?
No. And the weird thing about, it's because he plays North Carolina. And
Yeah.
You've got
Michael Penix?
Penix is like below Jayden Daniels. It was
Carson Beck?
No, he's like lower as well. I want to say Bo Nix is up there, but Jayden is right there. Jayden's in the top, I think, is 4th. I looked at it at DraftKings last week. Here you go. I probably still have a bookmark. Here you go. Sorry. Nope, it's right here. So Caleb, Jayden's 2nd. Tied with Quinn Ewers.
Fuck?
So it's in Jordan Travis. So it's Caleb Williams 1.
Oh, I don't like
Jayden, Quinn Ewers, and Jordan Travis are tied for next, and then Michael Penix.
Damn.
So yes, and so anyway, I'll give you like a real answer, and let me hear your thoughts on this. So I went and looked up every quarterback that's won the Heisman in the last 15 years or so, really since you've seen the offensive explosion in college football. Every Heisman winner has thrown for at least 4,000 yards, except for 3 dating back to 2010.
Okay.
They are Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel.
No, Deshaun Watson would throw him 4.
Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
And Lamar Jackson. What do all 3 of them have in common?
They're all running quarterbacks.
All of them ran for over 1,000 yards.
Now, they also have in common that was about the closest one is right inside of a decade ago.
Lamar was 2016.
Okay, I thought he was 2014. Okay,
Lamar was
so
2016, Johnny Manziel was 2012, and Cam was 2010. And the one before that did it was Tebow, but 2007, and it was kind of it was, oddly to say, still a different time. So my point is, if Jayden either has to throw for 4,000 yards, and he threw for 2,900 this year, so I think it's doable, especially if you're playing more games. But or he's got to throw for 3,000 yards and run for 1,000. And I think the run for 1,000 is going to be. I think he ran for like 895 last year. I think the run for 1,000 is going to be more difficult because.
I thought he hit 1,000.
No, because a lot of Jayden's rushing yards. If you have it handy, pull it up. Jayden's rushing.
Stats?
Yeah, Jayden's rushing yards last year were early in the season, and they came out of necessity. Like, when LSU's offensive line was a sieve, it was LSU's best offense was, oh shit, Jayden, run. Everything's breaking down, run. Like, against Florida State in the opener, he ran for 114. Against Mississippi State in week 3, he ran for 93. Against Auburn, he ran for 59. Like, then against Ole Miss, he ran for 121. But near the end of the season, he just wasn't rushing as much. Now, he did run for 111 against UAB, and I don't know why that happened, but it did.
And 95 against Bama. I mean, his rushing was massive against Bama. And 121 against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
84 against A&M. I mean, probably those Ole Miss and Bama games is the ideal Jayden Daniels. Well, no, I mean, maybe even take a little bit more out of rushing into passing this year as kind of the ideal split, what you would be looking for.
I think my point is, for Jayden to get his rushing numbers up, I don't know that it's possible because you don't want him running as much this year.
Yeah,
you fixed your offensive line. You've loaded up at running back. You brought in Logan Diggs. You brought you hope John Emery's eligible. You have Armani Goodwin coming off an injury. You signed 2 freshmen. You got Josh Williams coming back. Like, you should be better at running back to where you don't have to have your quarterback run it double-digit times, 15 times a game. You hope that's the case. So, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, if LSU's sitting there at 11-1, going into the Heisman voting, and he's thrown for 3,000 yards, 3,500 yards, and rushed for 800, 900. Yeah, and LSU's 11-1. He's a Heisman finalist. And depending on what everybody else does and how seasons look, he could win it. Absolutely.
Yeah. LSU looks like one of the best teams in the country. We'll see if that ends up being the case or not. But that is not just Homer talk. That is talk that you see throughout.
He literally has the second best Heisman odds.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not Homer talk.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason his odds are what they are. By the way, tonight they took the bottle just now, but High West Flight is the break-even pour tonight. $7 per pour of all the different High Wests. They've got Campfire, High West Double Rye, Rendezvous Rye. So High West is fantastic. They're out of Utah. They their bourbons, their ryes are magnificent. I'm a rye guy. Most of it is They do have a High West bourbon, but their ryes are really magnificent. Every year they have a very special release called the Midwinter Night's Dram. I don't know if they have Dram here or as part of this, but anyway, High West is great, and I would highly recommend it.
That
so
is
come drink
tasty.
some.
That is highly tasty right there. By the way, I don't think these are boudin egg rolls. You're right. This is some sort of pulled pork.
It's like the braised pork rib egg rolls or whatever it is. It's magnificent.
It's
the tangy sauce, right?
Yes, with the tangy Asian sauce.
All right, you talk so I can eat one.
All right. Jayden Daniels, legitimate Heisman candidate. I guess I haven't thought about a statistical split. That is interesting. I mean, in terms of what I'm looking for out of Jayden Daniels, yeah, I would think that I would, 3,500 passing yards would seem like the kind of leap that I'm expecting him to make with an offseason where he's the same offensive coordinator. He gets to work with the same weapons. All the things we talked about, right? He's the clear, unquestioned leader of the team, returning offensive line. I mean, Aaron Murray came and watched this team for spring and emerged saying that this is easily, if they stay healthy, like in terms of starters, this is the best team in the SEC West, and the weapons. I think LSU's receivers, after years of hyping them up, I think maybe LSU's receivers are getting a bit slept on right now. I haven't looked at any awards for that or like Blitnikoff or anything, but I don't feel like I see a lot of Malik Neighbors talk. Does anybody make the...
So Phil Steele's preseason All-America team has Malik second team.
Okay, never mind. There we go.
But I think for the receivers this year, it's interesting because you lose Kayshawn and you lose Jure. And although Kayshawn didn't live up to the expectations a year ago that we all had for him, he was still your second leading receiver. Yeah. So Kayshawn behind Malik, who had 1,000 yards receiving. So Kayshawn and Jure, who's your third leading receiver, they're gone. So someone's got to replace that production. If we're sitting here talking about Jayden going from 2,900 to 3,500 passing yards, well, someone's going to have some exponential growth.
Yeah.
And so I think Brian Thomas is a great candidate for that, and Kyron Lacey is a great candidate for that. If we're just talking receivers, of course, I think we all expect that Mason Taylor will have an even better sophomore year as he continues to get more involved. But when I looked at this earlier today, T, the thing that actually stood out most to me, like whenever I look at All-America teams, I'm like, all right, what are the outliers? Like, what am I looking for that it's either like a ton of guys from one team or nobody from one team?
Yeah, I haven't seen this yet.
All right, look at the All-America. There's 4 All-America teams. Just scan it real quick and see if there's anything that sort of like jumps out to you. Oh my God, you have a flaming cocktail.
What is this?
You got a flaming cock.
What is the name of this?
So it's kind of like a Mai Tai PA. So it's a Mai Tai with a beer float. I know you like mezcal, so it's got a little bit of mezcal in there.
Oh,
did he say
bro?
Did he say a Mai Tai penis?
No, a Mai Tai. I don't know what the second thing he said. A Mai Tai with a beer float, which it looks like a flaming crouton floating on a.
That is definitely a flaming crouton on a cucumber.
On a cucumber.
Or a lime. That's either cucumber.
And then it's got a little mezcal in there.
No, that's a lime. Okay, that makes sense.
Cucumber. I guess I should blow this out so the plastic doesn't melt.
I think that's going to take care of itself.
There we go.
Oh.
I kind of want to eat the crouton now.
Well, did you want to look at this? Just to see if there's anything that jumps out on the offensive All-America.
That's good. Oh my God, that's good.
Four All-America teams. Does anything jump out at you when you look at this? And I apologize for those of you who aren't looking at this.
I mean, this is real because I'm like trying to look so fucking fast.
No, you should do it fast. Like it'll be just a very random like.
I don't know. Maybe I've been talking too much Texas lately. I see 3 Texas players on the first, second, and third team, which seems crazy considering they just had their, and that's on the offensive first, second, and third team. They just had their first offensive player drafted in the first round since Vince Young.
Think SEC West. What would you expect to see a lot of?
Oh, there's not a lot of Alabama. There's J.C. Latham. Will Campbell's there right behind him. Malik Neighbors in the second team. No Alabama in the third.
That's it.
That's just J.C. Latham.
That's it. 4 teams.
Wow.
The only Alabama player.
Bro, I don't feel good about it, man. Nick Saban has never had more bulletin board material than he has this year. Maybe
he also has never had this much of a dearth of talent. Look, go ahead. Go finish your thoughts.
Or of known talent, right? Because we do believe in things like blue chip ratio to a certain extent, and like we know they've still recruited at a crazier level than anybody else.
Oh, really?
That was in response to a whiskey that was put in front of him, not what I said.
I wasn't listening to you at all because what Wiggins just put down here is the Willett 10-year rye. Holy moly.
To see you get excited, this must be something pretty special here. What are we talking about?
It's a Willett 10-year rye. So you loved that purple top Willett that we had last week.
Yeah, I've had it a couple times. It's amazing.
So this year, the Willett special release among the rye was a 7-year rye, and I was actually given an opportunity to pick, not here, but to get a bottle of either the 7-year rye or the purple top, and I picked the 7-year rye.
Oh, and so this is a 10-year rye.
And this is 10-year, yeah. So I am not going to go overboard with. There's not much left in this bottle, as you all can see. That's probably, I don't know.
It's like half of my glass
maybe
normally.
There might be 6 ounces left in this, so I'm just going to give myself an ounce, just a smidge. I'm just going to give myself a little smidge. All right, so finish your point on Alabama. I'm sorry I ignored you for a second.
Oh, nothing. Just that, like, it's a weird thing that I haven't been able to square in my head. This idea that, you're right, they have as little known talent as I can remember.
Yep.
In terms of guys that are returning, but you look at something like blue chip ratio, and you know they're still more talented or as talented as literally any team in the country. So how have they arrived here? Like, how have they had offensive lines the last 2 years full of 4 and 5 stars that just haven't been good? That, like, 2 years ago gave up crazy amounts of TFLs and sacks, and last year were just they weren't awful last year, but they were a relative weakness. They weren't really that dominant. They weren't that good. Like, what has gone on to seemingly slow down the development at Alabama this cycle?
Transfer portal.
It's got Cochran leaving.
Transfer portal.
I mean, have they lost that much in the transfer portal?
Nick has not yet figured out how to win with the portal ratio. And think about last year. Last year they brought in the receiver, the kid from Louisville.
I don't remember his name.
Harzel. Oh.
I just remember Gibbs and the tackle from Vanderbilt. Steen?
And Tyler Steen did not play well. Jahmyr Gibbs did, coming in from Georgia Tech.
Gibbs is their best player.
But the receiver from Tyler Harrell. And he had a very pedestrian year.
I don't remember him at all. Their weapons were pedestrian last year.
They have lost. One of the things about Nick that we would always have these conversations every year with Bama was like when LSU would lose guys early to the draft, we'd always say, how does Nick get these guys to come back to school? The joke was always, well, they go to the NFL, they're taking a pay cut, right? That was people would laugh about that because Nick somehow got guys to bypass the draft to come back to school.
Well, a lot of times, too, it's because they had a proven – I mean, I'm not saying that people weren't getting paid and shit, right? I'm not naive.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of times they had a proven track record of if you come back, you will raise your stock to a first or second round.
To be clear, I'm not saying that it was people money. Like,
yeah, but it was
just
an old joke at the time.
But last year, the highest rated transfer commits they got, Harrell was one, Eli Ricks was another. How did that work out for Alabama this year? So, and they're still losing players, which Nick would never do before. He would get guys to come and stay for 3 or 4 years. Now you have this highly rated class, and the next year, half the class is gone. Like, they're not finishing out their 3 or 4 years. So a lot of the great depth that they've had and cultivated, he's losing earlier, and he's not hitting on transfers at the same rate. So you're seeing some of that, like, look at what's going to happen with them at quarterback this year.
So is this a situation then, Matt, where actually the Kirby blue chip ratio, they're at 77%, but let's just call it 75, where you still have your Lad McConkeys, right, and a lot of your kind of meat potatoes or 3 stars that you believe in that won't drive up a class, but you believe that they just have the right makeup for your program or such. Like, I guess, do you need to – is that something that you – like, I always assume as a football coach you just want to get the best players, highest-rated players no matter what. Like, is that something that you have to start being cognizant of? Like the MLB baseball draft, not who will come here, but who will also be willing to stay for multiple years? Like how when you're recruiting a kid out of high school, it's like signability or something. Like, do you start to say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe we take this guy that's a little lesser rated than this other guy because we think that he'll actually stay here and develop.
So, like, look at this. So, Jamil Burrows, a defensive line prospect, signed with Bama in the class of 2020. He's transferring out. Veteran guy, right? Let's look at, I'm just pulling this up. So Traquan Fagans, cornerback who's leaving Alabama, going to Southern Cal.
Yeah.
He played that was his freshman year. He played 1 year at Alabama. He didn't stay. Jaquez Robinson, another cornerback who's going to Colorado. This is a guy who was been there since 2020. Elijah Brown is transferring out, tight end, who signed in 2022, 1 year, gone. You see the problem? Like, this is what's happening. Look at the number of transfers out of Alabama. 1, 2, 3, 4,
That's
5,
what I'm saying. Part
6,
of that is a function of
7,
having
8,
so
9,
many 4 and 5
10,
stars
11,
that
12,
they can't all
13,
play.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You get my point? Like,
so how does Georgia avoid it? Yeah, but all teams
I don't
with
know.
a super high ratio are having that happen, no?
I don't know. I mean, we could look at Georgia. I know last year Georgia didn't take a single transfer. They didn't need it. So, but my point is, like, this is what's happening to Nick. It's the depth that he was always able to keep for 3 and 4 years in Tuscaloosa. A lot of these guys are leaving after year one. They don't play, they transfer. Someone's going to give them money, NIL, so they bounce. It's just that it's a different game now. And he hasn't quite mastered that yet. So I don't know, like, I would bet on Nick figuring it out because he's always evolved. But it was like in that time period in like 13, 14, 15 when, you know, when the spread offenses, Hugh Freeze was giving him fits, fucking Deshaun Watson and everything. And he brought in Lane and he fucking figured it out. He was like, spread it out and go. You know, he stopped bitching about hurry up, no huddle and how dangerous it was. He was like, this is the rules. I got to go be the best at it. So he'll figure this out as well, but he hasn't yet, and I think that's his problem.
Well, I mean, how do you figure it out, though? If you're supposed to recruit the best, but then you can't keep everybody happy, how do you figure it out?
I think part of it is what Brian Kelly did with Mason Taylor. He identified a skill set in a kid and said, I don't care if you're a 3-star.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
You do it.
That's literally what I was just saying.
Sorry.
But you disagreed. So I was like, okay, then how do you do it?
Say again what you meant or
what
you
I'm
said.
saying is sometimes you maybe take a lower-rated guy that you feel strongly about, like you almost have to view like a signability or a keepability type of rating where you're like, okay, you know, I mean, this guy's a little lower rated, but maybe he's from here and we know he like really loves the school and we like his skill set, or like you maybe you have to start to identify factors. Okay, this guy may not be the best available player, but he might be the stickiest. Like he's a guy that may stick around, like a Mason Taylor, who's been undervalued, but they thought that, you know, they liked what they could see in him and what they could get out of him. And then
I also think that conversation has changed, though, because you've scrapped the hard cap of 25. In previous years where you could only sign 25, it was much harder to take that kid, right? Because you could only sign 25,
true,
and you couldn't take the risk of taking a guy that, man, or too many guys that were like Lloyd Cushenberry is the best example of this, right? Lloyd was the lowest rated player in the class. They knew he wasn't going to be able to contribute right away, and they literally waited until signing day to know if they were going to have a spot for him. They did, so they took him.
Well, they've got like a crazy run of guys. Yes. It's like Lloyd, Foster.
Foster was that. Justin Jefferson was that.
Jefferson.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. There's, like, LSU's been very good at that over the years of finding that last guy in the class where they like the skill set. They sort of stash him and develop him. But now you can do that because you're not hamstrung by the hard cap. You can sign as many as you want as long as you don't go over 85. So even if there's a guy who's been in your program for 3 years who you don't ever feel like is going to, I mean, I'll name it. I feel bad naming a name, but like Cardell Thomas is a good example of that, right? I mean, he was a guy who was here for 4 years. It was just never going to happen for him. So he left somewhere he's going to be able to go get on the field.
Where'd he go?
FAMU.
Hell yeah.
So he's going in the SWAC. He'll go play at FAMU, and good luck to him, man. Like, hopefully he gets on the field, figures it out, gets some really good reps, but that opens up a spot to bring in maybe a guy like Mason Lunsford
from Maryland
as a transfer to say, man, we think you can give us something more because you started 40 games in your career already. Let's see if you can win a job or at least be a quality backup for us. So it's just, I think the way you manage a roster is it dramatically changed in a year. The way you manage a roster. I think some have been further ahead of figuring that out. Brian Kelly figured that out. Like, he deserves a ton of credit for the strategy of going to find Louisiana guys who
Sticky.
Yeah, man, like who weren't offered out of high school, went somewhere else, proved they could play at a Power 5 level, and he brought them home. And you had Brooks and Fouché and Jark Bernard Converse, and like those guys were the glue of your team last year.
Yeah.
It's why you were able to win. Of course, Jayden, but it's why you were able to win so much so quickly, because you didn't have to go through a rebuild with young guys figuring it out and losing. You were just able to build with a lot of really veteran dudes.
It's crazy, man. I think this year's a real. And sorry, I ate all the egg rolls. But I think this year's a real. I couldn't help it, dude. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten dinner. We can get more egg rolls. We're good.
No, we're good.
Are you sure you don't want more egg rolls? All right. So I ran just before I came here. I was ravenous. I guess I just have it in the back of my mind that Nick's always going to have it figured out, you know? That, like, he's always going to be ahead of the curve. And so seeing him maybe in a position of relative weakness, it's like Tywin Lannister or something. You're just kind of like, is he playing possum? Like, is he fucking with us? Like, are they actually really good and something's going on? But maybe not. Maybe not. I do have this irrational fear that despite everything I know, right, despite the fact that their frontline starters don't look nearly as strong as they have been previously, you mentioned the All-American team, they're replacing both coordinators. They just lost their Heisman-winning quarterback, probably the best quarterback they've had in the Saban era. They didn't win a championship with him. Like, there's all these signs that point to an obvious decline, but I just can't accept it yet. It speaks to how oppressive the reign of the Crimson Emperor has become, but this is the make-or-break year in a lot of ways for me in terms of like, oh wait, he really is human, he really has been supplanted, and Alabama will still always be relevant, but maybe not dominant, right? Maybe, and I mean in terms of like singularly dominating the conversation. That feel like that mantle's already been passed to Georgia, and doesn't feel like it's going to change this year.
So we did it. Sometimes it's hard to put yourself back in the context, but we were having this conversation about Clemson when they won 2 titles in 3 years, and we're in like the playoff 4 straight years. And remember, like we had this conversation about Clemson, and Dabo has shown he has not been able to sustain it.
True.
So Georgia, like I think Georgia. Listen, Georgia's schedule this year is a fucking joke. We've all seen it, and it's not their fault.
They may come back to bite them in the ass, though. I'm a firm believer in that.
Maybe so. But, like, Georgia had Oklahoma scheduled. That got scrapped because of the Oklahoma coming into the league. They can't control who they schedule, and that the East sucks or who they get out of the West. I mean, they get Ole Miss, and it's, Ole Miss might not be great this year. Whatever. Like, an Auburn, down year for Auburn with Freeze coming in year 1. So, like, I don't fault Georgia for their schedule. I mean, it's just it ain't their fault. The East sucks, and they get Ole Miss in Auburn in down years.
The one question I have about Georgia, Matt, is they're not going to be battle tested, and so when it comes to a playoff scenario, if you look at the last 2 years, Stetson Bennett was fucking incredible in the playoffs, as was Todd Monken. And if you talk to Georgia fans, Todd Monken was the final piece of the puzzle that they kind of view as the guy that pushed him across the finish line into their Final Four. Well, Monken's gone. Bennett was MVP of all 4 playoff games that he ever played in. He's gone. Now you have an unproven Carson Beck and an old school Mike Bobo, and yes, they will put up numbers. They will put up massive fucking numbers during the year because of schedule. But when the going gets tough, like when they actually have, like if they run into Ohio State from last year, does Carson Beck win you that game? Does he beat Alabama in the Natty like Stetson did 2 years ago? Like, I don't know. And I don't think so, to be quite honest. We've never seen a back-to-back-to-back champion, save for like Minnesota pre-World War II or some shit. Like, it just doesn't happen. And even though you think it's going to happen, it's not going to happen this year for Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think Georgia's winning the Natty this year. And I agree with actually everything you just said. I think, wow. I know, really, I really do. Seriously, I do.
Clip it, mark it.
I do. I think Bobo is a giant question mark. I have no idea what to expect from Carson Beck. I think Georgia will be good on defense, but half of their defense was just drafted in the first round. Like, in their big defensive lineman, Baird, Kid Baird.
Went to USC.
Like,
did you see his apartment?
No.
Oh, my God.
At USC? God bless him. Go get it, kid.
It's not on campus.
God bless him. Go get it.
Oh, hell yeah. You think I'm hating on NIL kids? I'm just saying it was a Snapchat post like or an Instagram story like got my first apartment blessed, and it's just like this fucking beautiful fucking city view penthouse. My guy's living large, dude. But I thought WCA was tight because I only had to share a bathroom with one person, and it is tight. I only had to share a bathroom with one person, and I had my own sleeping room. Like that was cool.
That was cool. So, but to the point about Bama, I have always been Nick gets the benefit of the doubt just because he does. Like, this is the first year where I'm like, because last year they played 5 coin flip games.
Yep. And they played like some, I can't remember the stat. They played a wild, out of all the one-score games Nick Saban has had, it's almost like 50% of them have been in like the last 2 or 3 years. Like, there's been a closing of the gap.
So, Texas.
Yep.
Tennessee, LSU, A&M, and Ole Miss.
Yep.
A&M had a pass into the end zone on the last play that could have beat them. Ole Miss had a shot into the end zone at the end of the game. We know what happened with Texas. They could have been 7-5. But Bryce Young bailed them out against Texas.
Yeah,
their defense made a play against Ole Miss and Texas A&M.
Bryce Young tried to bail him out against LSU.
Yeah,
I mean he did fucking I watched a video last night of 2 British guys reacting. They're like NFL guys. They're British guys that love the NFL, know shit about college football, and they just did like a live react to watching the Alabama LSU highlights. So I relived that game, and I forgot just how Bryce Young got at the end.
He's incredible. But so now you were that close with Bryce Young. Now you take Bryce Young away, you take Jahmyr Gibbs away, and you take away both Pete Golding and Bill O'Brien, and you got a first-year coordinator. Both coordinators, new coordinators. But Tommy Rees calling your offense. You don't have a quarterback. Like you don't have a. You sure shit don't have Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And then you've got to play the SEC West, and you get Texas. You get it at home. Listen, I get it. The road games are Mississippi State, A&M,
they have a mixed
Kentucky,
schedule.
Auburn.
I'm not one of the ones that are like, it's so hard. It's hard, but it's not like abnormally hard.
And oddly, they play at South Florida this year too. Like they play in Tampa.
Wait,
they're playing South Florida in Tampa.
What?
I don't know. Maybe it's a recruiting thing.
What kind of fucking okay.
Maybe go play a game in Tampa.
That makes sense. I was gonna say, what kind of Jedi mind tricks were pulled on? No, that makes sense actually.
But so anyway, I'm not
diplomatic mission.
I'm not sitting here telling you that Alabama is going 7-5 this year. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that for the first time since Nick has been there,
my computer died.
Like I'm saying, you've got to prove it to me. Like I'm not just giving you the benefit of the doubt. You've got to go prove it to me.
I'm not giving him the benefit of that either. I think that LSU should be the favorite to win the West. I just have, like I said, an irrational fear of
I get it.
Baba Yaga, Saban Yaga. Even though, like I said, there's a lot of mountain evidence that maybe I shouldn't. Do you want to hear the top 5 reasons why Nebraska will get 8 wins this year?
What is their projected win total?
Well, that's 8 with the bowl game. Regular season 6.5. And I didn't know that before I started this. Okay. I pulled that number out of thin air. Okay, that 8 with the bowl game. So 7 regular season. But Vegas has it at 6.5. So this you're right. This could transpose into top 5 reasons Nebraska, you should take the over on their win total. Do you want to join me in the Corn Hub? T-Cobb and Husker, we're already in the boat. If you can come up with a funny corn pun for your name, you get allowed in Corn Hub.
No, fuck Nebraska. I hope they never win anything ever. Yeah, 6.5. Okay, or DraftKings has them at 6. Okay. This is proof that even though you and I are kind of close in age, how much of a generational gap there is. Because I still remember Nebraska being dominant and skull fucking everybody.
I hate them. You hate them.
I hate Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
I never want Nebraska to win anything ever.
I guess LSU, but wasn't LSU irrelevant when Nebraska was dominant?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. I hate Nebraska.
See, I guess I was so young that I thought they were tight. Like when I was watching Eric Crouch, I was like, oh shit, dude, Eric Crouch is a fucking badass. That's why he made my top 5 quarterbacks of the 2000s. If he's not on yours, your list is a joke.
In 2000, that was the year I was in South Bend, and I was there to watch Notre Dame against Nebraska in Notre Dame Stadium. and Nebraska was number 1 in the country, and that game went to overtime, oddly. And Eric Crouch scored what ended up being the game-winning touchdown in overtime that won it. It was so bizarre, too, because if you ever look up the game, every year Nebraska fans travel like to one road game. It's like their big road travel game. And they went to the Notre Dame game that year, and Notre Dame fans thought they had no fucking shot, so everybody sold their tickets. Notre Dame Stadium was a sea of fucking red that day.
That's right, baby.
Like, it was incredible. Wait, I want to...
the Corn Hub Hive fucking rolls
Wait,
deep,
no, I want to
dude.
show you this. I want to
sea of maize in South Bend.
I want to show you a picture, if I can find it. Look.
That 10-year rye. That 10-year rye is tasting. No burn. Not any burn at all. Wait, that's South Bend?
That's Notre Dame Stadium. The whole fucking thing was, except for the student section, the whole thing was red.
So I thought LSU Georgia 2018 was bad. That's the most absurd shit I've ever seen. That is quite literally all Nebraska, except for the student section.
It's like understood as like Nebraska takeover. The whole thing was Nebraska. It was crazy because everyone was selling their tickets for absurd
and Notre Dame
prices.
went to overtime?
Notre Dame took it to overtime, yeah.
Pussies, dude.
It was crazy. They returned 2 kicks for touchdowns.
If you sold your ticket for that game, you should never be allowed to go to Notre Dame game
Anyway,
again.
so like I was there in the student section at that game, and Eric Crouch scored the game-winning touchdown.
So you were in that number?
Yeah, I was there in the student section, and Crouch scored right there in that end zone.
Well, yeah, you've suffered at the hands of our Eric Crouch specifically.
But even before that, I fucking hated Nebraska. Like, I just hated him. Hate Eric Crouch.
Junior.
Hate Nebraska. Like, reveled in them sucking for the last 20 years. It's been awesome watching them suck shit.
Oh, I've no. Like I said, I was so young. But you got to understand.
That's my point.
This is also at an age when I was like, ooh, the Packers won the Super Bowl. I fucking love the Packers. Ooh, the Broncos won the Super Bowl. I fucking love the Broncos, dude.
Got it.
And so, yeah, I always been an Eric Crouch in Nebraska. But the point, okay, top 5 reasons Nebraska will win 8 games this year. Reason number 1, they're not that bad.
Okay.
Matt Rule keeps telling everyone the roster does not need an overhaul. And I looked it up today, Matt. I went into 247 Composite, and I looked at the past 5 years of recruiting classes, and I looked at their rankings versus everybody else's. They are equal to they are better. No, sorry. The only teams that are better than Nebraska are Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in terms of recruiting.
Okay.
Every other team, they are marginally better to significantly better than. And so when Matt Rule is telling us he doesn't think the roster needs an overhaul, he's not wrong. Here's Nebraska's recruiting rankings for the last 5 years. 25th in 2023, 41st in 2022. That's awful. That's bad. But then 20th, 17th. They've gotten players. Scott Frost just couldn't fucking develop it.
Got it.
Matt Rule is a development master. So already there's a better foundation than you're thinking. Like, they're a more talented team than Illinois, than Purdue, like every other team in the Big Ten West.
Got it.
Full stop. Even Wisconsin, marginally better than Wisconsin. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, there's nowhere to go but up, Matt. To your point, since 2017, this is kind of shocking.
Yeah, you can go down.
The only Power 5 teams with worse winning percentages, Arizona, Vanderbilt, Rutgers, and Kansas. So Nebraska just hasn't been bad. They've been complete shit.
Yes.
But they've still gotten top 25 classes. How? Because people believe in the brand. Matt Rule's going to develop and get them ready to go. Reason number 3, and they're not that far off. They've been absolute shit in single-digit games. They set an NCAA record losing 7 in a row from 21 to 22. They've got a 7-28 record since 2018. However, now Matt Rule brings 3 things. A process. He's not results-oriented. He's process-oriented. He is a obsessive about situational football, especially from his time in the NFL. And every quote that he ever gives is just about toughness. Now, this is dumb as fuck, and you should not do this modern day. But he had that first Temple team, that 2-10 team, running gassers before the Iowa game that they'd go on to lose. Dumb as fuck. I'm not saying that should be encouraged, but a lot of those Temple players that ended up winning the AAC by the end of that tenure point back to that moment, okay? So those one-score games that have gone against Nebraska, they're going to start to go in their favor because of Matt Rule. Reason number 4, they got a quarterback. Jeff Sims is good. I think Jeff Sims is good. I think Jeff Sims is going to be solid up there. Don't ask me to expound on that. I have no other reason. Just like trust. When I say Jeff Sims is good, just trust that. And reason number one, Matt. Nebraska doesn't want to win. They need to win, okay? A want and a need in human beings are different. You understand this. I understand this. Nebraska fans are like LSU. They need to win. It determines their happiness. For too long, after 100 years of being in the sun, they've been forced into the darkness. Matt Rule doesn't shy away from this. He's not managing expectations. He believes in this. He knows that the town needs to win. He's a man of the fucking people. I got pictures sent to me from people in Omaha partying with Matt Rule because he's a fucking man of the people, okay? And he understands. He's glad, and he's rallied the fan base. He's brought back in Solich. Like, he's really, literally reunited the clans. He shook all the right hands. Soon enough, I guarantee we're going to get a Warren Buffett massive investment announcement. Guarantee.
Did you say in Oxford?
What did I say, Oxford?
You said Oxford.
I meant Lincoln. What are we talking about? Nebraska.
I mean, you could have literally just said Matt Rule's a good coach and their roster's not that bad. Like, that would have been totally sufficient.
Well, and you've got the Jeff Sims part.
Yeah. All right, let's do
so wait, no, where do you land? Have I convinced you? Are you in the corn hub? Are you betting the over? Look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. Don't be scared. Matt Cornscona? Matt Muscaba? Mays Moscona? Mays Moscona's not bad.
At Minnesota, that's a loss.
I think that's 50-50, but go on.
At Colorado, that's a loss.
They're not losing at Colorado.
Hold
on, time out. You really think at Colorado's loss?
Yeah. Northern.
So you think
Illinois.
Prime goes over 4.5 wins then?
Oh yes, that would be my favorite bet of the year.
Good. Well, I've already got a very big bet on Prime over.
Northern Illinois.
Dub.
They're lucky they get that at home.
Okay, I'm not having this conversation. If you think Northern Illinois under Matt Rule,
who's been to more New Year's Six games, Nebraska or Northern Illinois?
I don't care.
Answer the question. You don't even know because that's before you even followed.
Era. Whatever. Northern Illinois had that one tight quarterback a couple years ago. What was his name?
Louisiana Tech, that's a loss. Louisiana Tech's already beaten them in Lincoln.
Yeah, okay, that's a loss. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Louisiana Tech has beaten them in Lincoln.
Yeah, I know, but it's a new era.
No, it was when Troy Brown had like 300 yards receiving. You remember? No, you don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I think that was the NCAA. No, it was like 400 yards. Hang on. Troy Brown, Nebraska. I want to see this game. Wasn't it Troy Brown from Louisiana Tech against Nebraska? Here it is. 1998. Troy Edwards. I said Troy Edwards. Troy Edwards.
Troy Edwards. I don't remember this.
It was like 400 and hang on. He won the Biletnikoff. Here you go. Against Nebraska in the 1998 season opener, Troy Edwards had 21 catches for 405 yards, a single game receiving record in NCAA history.
He did that on Prime Nebraska?
Yeah, no, it was 98. Yeah, 98.
That's absurd.
Yes. Then they play Michigan. Of course, that's a loss.
Matt Husqvarna?
At Illinois, Bert's beating them. Open date.
Bert's not beating him. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
They might be able to beat Northwestern at home.
Yeah, Northwestern's fucking awful. They're smashing Northwestern.
Maybe.
They're smashing Purdue. Purdue's awful after what's his name?
They got to go at Michigan State. That's a loss. Home against Maryland, they could probably win that one. But little Tua might win that one.
I like old Tua. I like Delilah.
At Wisconsin, that's
feels
a loss.
Like a loss.
And Iowa at home. 50-50 game, but probably a loss. I'll give him 3 wins.
Matt officially out of the corn hub.
So Matt Rule
and Husker will have to continue to hold it down.
I will tell you this.
I'm not wearing a Vandy hat. I'm wearing a volume hat. The volume, okay? Listen to the Snaps podcast.
Matt Rule has had 2 of the 4 worst jobs in college football.
Yeah.
The 4 worst jobs in college football are Rutgers, Temple, Baylor, and Kansas. And yes, I know Vanderbilt should be in there as well, but Vanderbilt is just an impossibility because they don't actually try to win. So put Vandy in there, and that's the 5. He's had 2 of the 5 worst jobs in college football.
Yeah.
And I know Art Briles wanted Baylor, but people historically lose sight of how awful Baylor is historically. I mean, they're heinous. Briles did a great thing there, but when Matt Rule got there, he inherited a total shit show.
They had one commitment for their upcoming class. They called him the lone survivor.
What he did at Temple, going from 2 wins to 6 wins to back-to-back 10-win seasons, and then at Baylor, 1-11 to 7-6, 11-3 to the NFL. There's a reason. Dude's a great fucking coach, and he is going to win at Nebraska. Like, he is, Matt Rule, 100%
so
will
come
make.
on, dude, hop on with me.
But look at what he did in each of his first years.
No, I know, but
he took over.
But those are way worse situations.
Got
way
it.
worse. You know this. You know they were worse situations. You know this. You know this. I just went through the.
You were also playing in.
For the past
you're
5,
also
we're top
playing
25.
in shittier leagues than the Big Ten.
The Big Ten's not good. It's top heavy.
Okay.
It's like a girl with 3 titties. Okay, there's no ass there.
I'm gonna go under 6 for Rule in year 1, but year 2 I like a big year 2. All right, we got 5 minutes. Let's go to questions.
You don't understand, though. Rule's been purified by Carolina in the cleansing fire of the NFL. He's ready to go. He's ready to release the demons of his past.
Here we go. Ryan Brock, how many underwhelming seasons does Bama need to have Saban to quit?
Oh, man, I don't fucking know, dude. That dude ain't quitting anytime soon, dude.
Yeah, I think he'll die on the field, or they'll force him out if they lose back to Palmer Lamartinieri. Ask Scone T.
Lamartiniere?
This seems like a common theme with the transfer portal. Is it more valuable to start at a smaller program or contribute as a backup in a bigger program?
I don't think you think about it in such terms. I think a lot of times you're going to a smaller school because that's maybe the only offers you got. Then you prove people that they were wrong, and you're like, oh, shit, this guy's actually good, and then you get bumped up.
Or some people get bigger, stronger, faster when they're 18, 19, 20, as opposed to 16, 17, 18.
100%. Which read the Malcolm Gladwell Outliers book and understand that we really put too much emphasis on date age as opposed to kind of physical maturity age when it comes to evaluating people. But that's impossible, right? I can't know that Cat's going to grow which is why the transfer portal is great, because now we can take advantage. He can play on a bigger stage.
That hockey shit's pretty fascinating.
It freaks me out, dude. It freaks me out. I'm like, do I need to hold back my kid?
I was a July birthday. I'm fucked. I was always fucked.
I know.
I had no shot.
I know. I don't like it, though. But then he's kind of circled back to it recently and been like, he helped to create a generation of helicopter parents. So now everybody's like holding back their kids so they don't get left behind. I'm thinking the same shit. I'm like, fuck.
Hold them back, bro.
I don't know. But then I don't know, dude.
I mean, I think about that. Like, what if I had...
No, I know. I get it. You don't got to explain it to me. I fucking get it. I know what you're saying. Yeah. It's crazy. You get fast-tracked.
So, you want to explain it for those watching who have no idea what we're talking
okay.
about?
So basically, Outliers just talks about how when they looked at it, I believe it was like the Canadian, maybe like the men's team. It was like the
Canadian hockey team, yeah.
Yeah. That there was a preponderance of what you would describe as like older birthdays, right? People born in like the August of a school year or the September, and the kind of causal link that Malcolm Gladwell is hypothesizing is that when you're going through youth development and everything else, like the players who get put into the major travel hockey teams who get the attention on them are the best players. Well, sometimes you have a player who's in the same grade as player number 2, but player 1 is almost a year older. What if he's 8 months older? What if he's 9 months older, 10 years old? Well, he could be significantly better, and then all of a sudden he's fast-tracked to the good team. He's like, oh, shit, I'm good at this. His whole life starts to funnel into that. The other kid's like, oh, shit, I'm not good at this. I didn't get accepted into it.
You're way over-explaining this.
And he gets left behind. And so basically younger kids get left behind because you start cherry-picking kids but based on their skill level, which you're not recognizing is
because they're
deeply related to their age. Yes, because
especially at a younger age. Like,
yes.
I was born in July. I had a classmate that was born in September, but was almost a year older than me. So was 10 months older than me, but we were in the same class. Well, physically, cognitively, everything was 10 months more developed than me.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine, but we're being judged on the same curve. It's like, well, what if you could, like, give me that catch-up? It's basically the whole thing. Anyway.
I mean, if I'm an 18-year-old dating an 8-year-old, that's frowned upon. But if I'm 48, dating a 38-year-old, it's completely normal.
Bilbo asks Scone T, what do you think is the modern version of college football's America's team?
We played with this a little bit this morning.
It's Alabama. I hate to say it. I fucking hate to say it, but it's Alabama. It is.
I guess
Alabama.
if the Cowboys were America's team, I guess that makes sense. I think that 2019 LSU was pretty close to being America's team in terms of maybe who everybody was actually rooting for.
About program, though.
Yeah.
Bilbo asks Scone T, Florida's getting $400 million in renovations of the swamp. When's LSU going to get anywhere near that funding for the brand new K-Mac? The K-Mac.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. The Kim Mulkey Assembly Center? Hell yeah. Guys, I don't know. You're coming to the wrong place. Matt might know more about stadium stuff than me.
I'll tell you this.
I think the next thing they need to do is kind of rejuice the box, personally.
So they're not they're moving the bullpens.
Yeah, get those off the field.
Yeah.
Big league shit. And
no, that went to bid. Look, I'll show you. Like they're doing that this year.
Good.
So I got sent this.
That's the one thing that Cade Beloso said when we had him on Friday was like the one thing he'd want to see. Okay.
So it's right field. You see putting a fence around it. They're elevating the bleachers at a higher pitch, and so it'll be underneath. And then you'll enter.
Keeping the student section in right field?
Yeah. So this will be a look down, like down through to it. So bullpen.
No, that's cool.
So.
I don't. So they're not going to move the student section? I'd love for the student section to be somewhere where they can get a little more rowdy with opponents.
Anyway, as far as basketball, here's what I know for a fact. They're never going to move it to another part of campus. So, like, the idea is, hey, tear down Parker Coliseum, build a new arena there. They're never going to do it. They want all of the athletic facilities in that hub right there on Nicholson by where Tiger Stadium is. There isn't another place where they have the land to move it somewhere else. So literally the spot where they would do it would have to be right where it is presently. And if you tore down the PMAC and built another one right on that spot, then where do they go play? Maybe the River Center for a year or 2 years. They could do that conceivably. I know that's not what they want to do. My thinking is what they are going to do is just do more of a, they will do more of a gut renovation of the Maryville Center.
Yeah.
That's what that,
I don't think you need a full new standing structure.
I would tell you, I think that I would describe that as an educated guess. But I'm not telling you I know that definitively. Matt Husqvarna.
Yeah, that's well, no, you don't get that name because you don't want to join, you little bitch.
No, I don't.
What the fuck is wrong with you, dude?
Reaper 08, LSU prediction this year, plus bowl. I'm not ready to give mine yet. I'm not ready.
I mean,
I'll be ready after media days.
Surface level, 10-2 regular season would seem like what the expectation should be.
Ask Scone T, one LSU baseball player that should come back for more development, but that will likely sign.
You would know this better than I would. Who was Garrett Edwards, the guy that was one of the guys that was really on the bubble there?
Well, he's not going to pitch next year because of his torn UCL.
Oh, that's right. So it wasn't him. Who was it that we were talking? Taylor?
Grant Taylor.
Yes.
That's the one LSU I would say most needs back, and I would love to see him come back. So yeah, I'll say, but I can't say that I think it's likely he signs. I don't know what he's going to do. He may be leaning toward coming back. How can we get more home games? Is that a rule?
A Matt rule.
If LSU doesn't get it done this year, it's going to be at least 2 more years. But the transfer portal speeds everything up, man. TCU proved that. Like everybody, Brian Kelly proved that last year. Like you're one transfer away. I mean, Jayden Daniels leaves. What if there's a starting quarterback in the portal next year?
It feels like it's hard for that portal quarterback to win in the first year, though, right? I mean, not to win, but to win a natty. I guess all these sample sizes are so small that we should be careful of making any sweeping judgments. But I would view it as if you have a transfer quarterback, I think that it can make you the best version of your team. But I don't know that I think you're capable of winning that.
Ask Scone T, what's your favorite non-LSU school tradition for college football? He says, example, Colorado running with the Buffalo. I know, mine's Chief Osceola with the fucking flaming spear. The war chant, Osceola on the horse, throwing the fucking flaming spear in the ground. That's some badass shit. 80,000 people doing the tomahawk. I mean, when Florida State was fucking balls out, like under Bowden, 11 straight top fives, that was scary as shit, bro. That's got to be it.
No, it's Yell Leaders.
Ask Scone T going to pick an LSU baseball away game next season. Which one is the best trip?
I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, we haven't gotten the schedule yet. But I would say go to one of the new stadiums in the league.
Like Duty Noble, I always feel like it'd be really fun to go to and see like the left field. And everything.
since they've redone that. Florida's brand new. Kentucky's brand new. I wouldn't
go to Florida. I have no desire to go to games.
But I'm saying they got a brand new stadium. Like it's like 2 years old or whatever. I'm just saying pick a new stadium. Let's see. Jim said I got respect for Scone. He knows his stuff. How about that? Jim's nice.
Jim.
Weird.
Wait,
Weird.
hold on. Wait. Jim, are you breathing? I need you to get Matt to stick out your mouth. Oh, my God. Thank God. Ooh, okay, listen, Jim. If you keep that in there too long, it's going to restrict your airways, okay? And even though you breathe through your nose, if it comes down your throat eventually, okay? There you go, Jim. Just help me out.
Raymond said, I'm excited for football. I don't get the hype. We lost our pass rusher. Don't know who the starting corners are. Missing some good depth. What am I missing?
He's not so it's interesting because he's not wholly wrong. I think that pass rusher is still my biggest question mark, but you have Harold Perkins, right? And so it's like, okay, it already feels like that's maybe a bit mitigated. Cornerback's weird because we don't know who it is, but I believe in the talent that you have there between Chestnut and Harris. I love what I saw with Terrence Welch in the spring game.
Zy Alexander.
Like
Denver Harris.
I think, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
J.K. Johnson.
Yeah, J.K. So
you are more talented at corner this year than you were last year. You're not as experienced, but you are vastly more talented.
So I think the answers will emerge there. Not 100%.
I got your entire offense is back.
Yeah.
With a fifth-year senior at quarterback. And on defense, you're adding Mason Smith.
Yes.
To what, and then you supplemented with
an All-American defensive interior defensive lineman in Mekhi Wingo.
And you added 4 defensive tackles out of the portal who give you depth. And at spots where you needed veteran depth, you added Ovie Agofu and Braden Swinson at end, and you added Omar Spates at inside linebacker.
Yeah.
This is the definition of how you do it with the transfer portal. Like, there's a reason they're projected to be what they are. Everybody else ain't wrong. I mean, they got to go do it.
It
but
could be wrong, but it makes sense on paper. It makes logical sense.
Feels juicy. Whiskey and wine from Orlando after the season opener?
Yeah. Well, we'll do the entire show in Epcot going on a drinking around the world tour. Dude, we should do whiskey and wine in Epcot. Holy fuck, that would be badass. There's no way, though. Maybe less in the Rose and Crown pub. Watch a little football, eh? Remember that? Hey, boys, Robbie Ashford's going to be on the screen tonight. Let us in. And they don't have to explain that Robbie Ashford's not actually playing because he plays for Auburn. And he probably doesn't play anymore. But
Ryan Amos said, damn, Matt, you nailed that Delilah bit. Also, Delilah.
He did. I hate to give him credit.
That was an hour ago.
I know, but he did. He actually did, though. He actually did. I was trying to think of my own Delilah jokes until I'm whatever. Hat tip. You did good.
I beat you at your own game.
You did. You know what? But, hey, I'm just going to get back in the lab, and I'm going to keep working, okay? I'm going to hold you. You can get it. And keep going.
Are you having a seizure?
That was my slide. Slide Sylvester.
Hey, yo, guys, I'm telling you, this holiday season don't come out, okay?